Welcome back to Then and Now. I'm Julian Zelizer of The Longview.
And I'm Jonathan Alter of Old Goats.
John, I was thinking about the missing files that were reported on about the Epstein files, and supposedly DOJ has left certain files that are there. They have not released them. And it instantly, of course, as a historian, made me think back to the 18-minute-and-a-half-second erasure from the Nixon tapes in 1973 and 74. There was the discovery of the tapes during the hearings, and these were White House recordings that come in the middle of the Watergate investigations. And the 18-and-a-half-minute erasure is a tape from June 20th, 1972, a few days after the break-in happens. And it instantly leads to intrigue about what was on that erasure and why investigators didn't have access to it. And, the added layer of the story is Nixon's secretary, Rosemary Woods, says she accidentally erased it, and she recreates how she did this, the transcriptions, in a famous kind of photo op in some ways of the moment, where she's awkwardly sitting, and it's called the Rosemary Stretch. But it plays into the suspicion of everything about Nixon. And obviously, this culminates with the Supreme Court deciding in July 74 that the tapes had to be turned over to the investigation. And then soon after, Nixon resigns, although we still don't know about what was on that erasure. How do you think? Is there a comparison to be made here?
Yeah, there's a strong comparison because we're moving into the cover-up phase of the Epstein scandal. There were 4 interviews by the FBI with a 13-year-old or a girl who was 13 at the time that she says that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump raped her. Now, 3 of those 4 interviews are missing from the Epstein files. And, whether she's telling the truth or not, this question of whether they've been forthcoming in complying with what is now a law requiring the Trump administration to turn over every document is very much an open question. And it's not going to go away for Trump in the same way that the cover-up did not go away for Nixon. We never knew for sure whether Nixon ordered the Watergate break-in. He was forced to resign because of the cover-up. And this was one of the more sort of cinematic parts of it. Newsweek had a cover. It was a few years before I worked there, called Rosemary's Boo Boo, where there's a famous picture, as you mentioned, of her stretching, like trying to explain how she erased 5 minutes. The other 13 and a half minutes were not even explained, but she tried to tell a grand jury that she was responsible for accidentally erasing this. She became a national figure. I remember as a teenager being kind of obsessed with Watergate, and her brother Joe Woods was running for sheriff of Cook County, and he had an ad. He wanted to get elected with an ad about abandoned cars. And these Joe Woods ads would come on, and it would say, abandoned cars, kids playing them, rats breeding them, vote for Joe Woods for Cook County Sheriff. And I just mention this because to give you a sense of the level of obsession over Rosemary Woods and anybody related to her. And, we've now almost completely forgotten about her, but these characters who are emerging in what I think is becoming a Trump cover-up, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, I think both of them are likely to be impeached at this time next year by a Democratic-controlled House of Representatives.
And just to add, the smoking gun tape that ultimately is revealed different than the 18-and-a-half-minute gap, that's about obstruction, not about him directly ordering the break-in. So it gets to your point. It was the cover-up. It was the effort to stop the investigation in many ways that proved devastating to Nixon. Right. Anyway, great chatting as always. I love looking back at history with you, John, and we'll talk next week.
Talk next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.